Today I am going to do something I was strongly advised against. I am going to share a secret with you. A secret that has been the hidden engine behind immense Jewish wealth and success for centuries. This is not a teaching you will find in business schools or financial textbooks. It is a piece of esoteric wisdom, a key that I received from my own master teacher many years ago with the strict instruction that I was not to share it widely until I felt the world was truly ready to hear it. I believe that time is now. By the end of this video, you will possess a secret that if you apply it, will fundamentally alter your relationship with money and unlock a level of abundance you never thought possible. But first, a question. What is the one piece of financial advice you have followed your whole life that has not worked? What is the rule you have played by that has still left you feeling stuck or afraid? Be honest. Write it in the comments below because today we are going to shatter that rule. Before the truth is revealed, I need you to breathe. Not shallow, anxious breaths, but the kind that settle the nervous system. Because what you are about to hear will not only challenge everything you've been taught about money, it will challenge everything you've been taught about yourself. You have been trained to chase security like a shadow that always moves when you reach for it. You have been taught that fear is the architect of wisdom, and that the safest place you can stand is behind a wall made of dollar bills, but walls built from fear always collapse inwards. And today, we are going to take a hammer to that structure. Before I reveal what I was forbidden to share, I need your commitment to our mission. And this is not marketing, not manipulation, not a plea for vanity metrics. It is an invitation to step into a community that is attempting something rare in this world, to build wealth that is spiritually aligned, morally grounded, and rooted in wisdom older than empires. We are on a mission to reach 50,000 subscribers to create a global community dedicated to building wealth on a foundation of timeless Torah truth. If you believe in this mission, become a part of it. Hit that subscribe button right now. Join this sacred family, this mishpacha. And if you are one of the few who feels a deeper calling, one who senses that there is more beneath the surface than what is spoken publicly, I invite you to become a channel member, not for perks, not for ego, but because it grants you access to teachings too potent, too precise, too spiritually charged to share with the world at large, teachings that can remake a life if applied. Your support is what makes this holy work possible. Now, listen. I want you to come closer. Not physically, but energetically. Let your attention gather. For years I have taught you about discipline, about prayer, about morning routines that rewire the spirit. I have taught you how to build the house today. I am giving you the master key to the entire estate. When I was a young man, long before any success, long before I understood anything about the flow of abundance, I was a student of a great and holy rabbi in Jerusalem. He was not a man of many words. He was a man of presence. His eyes seemed to penetrate whatever mask you wore when you walked into his study. He saw your wounds, your fears, your potential. He saw the architecture of your soul as clearly as one sees the shape of a tree. He was known as a master of the hidden wisdom of the Kabbalah, not the diluted modern version, but the ancient discipline studied in secrecy for generations. One night, after months of study that left me humbled and elevated all at once, he took me aside. We walked through a narrow alleyway behind the yeshiva, where Jerusalem's night breeze carried the scent of stone, cedar, and mystery. He placed his hand on my shoulder and said, "David, I am going to teach you the true secret of parnasa, of sustenance. But you must promise me you will not speak of it openly. It is a powerful wine that can intoxicate a man who is not yet ready to drink it. It can be misunderstood. It can be misused. You must wait until your own vessel is full, and until you have the wisdom to know who is ready to receive it." I made that promise 20 years past, and I held that secret like a flame cupped between my hands. I shared it only with the most trusted students, only with those who lived in a way that honored the balance between spiritual truth and worldly action. But today, I look at the world, and I see fear thick as fog. I see people drowning in anxiety even when their bank accounts are full. I see spiritual poverty growing like a shadow across continents, and my soul tells me something unmistakable. The time has come. The risk of keeping the secret is now greater than the risk of sharing it. Before you can receive it, You must understand the enemy it is meant to destroy. The enemy is not poverty. The enemy is not scarcity. The enemy is a belief so deeply programmed into you that you think it is nature itself. You have been taught that wealth is about accumulation. You have been taught that success means taking as much as you can and placing it on a growing pile. You have been taught that safety comes from how tall that pile is, how high above the chaos of the world you can climb. And so you spend your life guarding it, watching it, obsessing over it like a nervous sentry. You call this wealth. But it is a cage. It chokes the soul. It suffocates creativity. It kills trust in the divine. Because here is the secret your parents never told you, your teachers never told you, and your financial advisors never knew. The moment you become a guardian of the pile, you become its prisoner. Even those with large piles, especially those, live in fear that the wind will knock it down. They fear recessions, market dips, competitors, lawsuits, sickness, taxes, anything that might disturb their precious mountain. This is not abundance. This is slavery. The secret my rabbi gave me is this. True divine wealth is not about accumulation. It is about circulation. The goal is not to be a reservoir. The goal is to be a river. The more that flows through you to nourish the world, the more the infinite source flows toward you. The moment you hoard, the flow slows. The water stagnates. The river becomes the Dead Sea. And now, the most important sentence you will hear in this entire teaching. You cannot receive more while clenching your fists around what you already have. You must understand that the universe, the divine system, God Himself, whatever name you choose, does not reward stagnation. Stagnation is death. Stagnation is mistrust. Stagnation is the spiritual declaration that what you have is all you will ever get, so you must guard it like a frightened animal. When you do this, you choke the very channel through which abundance flows. You suffocate the river with your own fear. And this is why the world feels the way it does today. People are more financially anxious than ever, even though they have more access to information, technology, and opportunity than at any other point in human history. Anxiety increases when connection decreases. And the greatest connection you will ever form with abundance is through circulation, not accumulation. Let me take you deeper into the blueprint of creation. The Torah does not speak in metaphors alone. It speaks in codes, spiritual laws encoded into physical stories. Genesis tells us that a river flowed out of Eden to water the garden, and from there it divided into 4 headwaters. The source of all blessing did not hold its water, it did not protect it. It did not store it. It released it into circulation. The first action abundance ever took in the Torah was to flow. This is not a coincidence. This is instruction. This is the divine ecosystem revealing its nature. Abundance must flow, or it dies. And if you want abundance to live in your life, you must become part of that flow. Let me show you the metaphor that changed my life. The one my rabbi whispered to me as though the walls themselves were listening. In the land of Israel, there are 2 seas. The first is the Sea of Galilee, the Kinneret. It receives water from the Jordan River, and it gives water to the Jordan River. It receives and it gives, and because of this, it teems with life. Trees flourish around it. Fish multiply within it. People gather at its shores. It is vibrant and alive. In the far south is the Dead Sea. The Jordan River flows into it, but nothing flows out. It hoards every drop it receives, and because of that, it is the deadest place on earth. No fish, no plants, no life. Only salt and silence. 2 seas, fed by the same river, standing in the same land, one alive, one dead. The only difference between them is that one circulates and one accumulates, and now you understand the secret. Wealth that is hoarded becomes dead. Wealth that flows becomes alive. Wealth that stagnates suffocates the soul. Wealth that circulates nourishes it. I wish I could tell you I learned this lesson easily, that I received the teaching and immediately lived it. But that would be a lie. I had to learn it the way most people learn the deepest truths, with struggle, fear, and a moment of painful self-confrontation. I remember the moment the secret saved my life. I had just achieved my first major financial success. I sold a company and suddenly had more money than I had ever seen in my life. Several $1 million sat in my account like a monument to my effort. For the first time, I had a pile. And with the pile came fear. I became like the Dead Sea. I stopped investing. I reduced my giving. I calculated every expense. I held my money with a clenched fist. I watched it daily. I obsessed over it. And a strange thing happened. My world began to shrink. Opportunities dried up. Creativity vanished. Everything that had once flowed with ease felt stuck, heavy, immovable. I had never felt poorer than I did with millions in the bank. And one night, I had a dream that shattered the illusion. In the dream, my old rabbi appeared. His eyes were filled with disappointment, not anger, disappointment, as though I had taken a sacred gift and buried it in the earth. He didn't speak. He simply lifted his hand and pointed. I followed the direction of his finger and saw myself standing on the shore of the Dead Sea. Not the beautiful Sea of Galilee, not the vibrant waters that fed life. No, I was standing in the place of stagnation, the place of hoarding, the place of spiritual death. I woke up drenched in sweat, and I knew exactly what the dream meant. I had become the very thing he warned me not to become. I had broken the true promise, not the promise of silence, but the promise to live the secret before I ever dared to teach it. So I made a decision that terrified me. I took an amount of money so large it made my stomach twist, an amount that logically made no sense to part with, and I gave it away. I gave it to a struggling yeshiva in my community. It was the most uncomfortable act of giving I had ever experienced. It felt like detonating the dam inside me, but the moment I released it, something inside me shifted, something unclenched, something opened. And then, the miracle happened. The very next day, 24 hours after that act of circulation, I received a phone call from a man I barely knew. He had a business idea, a new technology, a concept he believed would reshape an entire industry. He needed a seed investor. Under normal circumstances, I would have said no. I would have guarded the pile. But I had just made a new covenant with circulation, so I said yes. That single act of investment, fueled by the flow I had just initiated, became the foundation of my second, far larger fortune. It returned to me more than 100-fold. It proved to me, not intellectually but viscerally, that the secret works. But knowledge without practice is just decoration. So let me give you the framework, the practical system that will turn you into a kinneret, a living channel of abundance. I call it the 10-10-80 river rule. It is not a budget. It is not a financial trick. It is a spiritual technology disguised as a money management system. Every dollar that flows to you must immediately be divided into 3 streams. Stream 1, the 10% upstream flow, maser. The first 10% of every dollar you receive does not belong to you, it belongs to God. It is tzedakah, what the world calls tithing. This is not charity. This is not generosity. It is acknowledgement. It is your spiritual taxation for operating in God's economy. It primes the pump. It signals trust. It says, I am a channel, not a dam. Stream 2, the 10% forward flow, investment. This is for the future. This is for planting seeds. This 10% goes into investments, stocks, real estate, or, most powerfully, your own business and skills. This is you irrigating new fields. Stream 3, the 80% outward flow, your life. This is what you live on. This pays your bills, your food, your home, your experiences. But notice, you only drink from the river after you have honored the source and invested in the future. This system destroys the Dead Sea mindset. It forces circulation. It trains your soul to flow. And here's the truth most people don't want to hear. If you are in your 20s and you adopt this system, you will almost certainly become a millionaire. Not because of the math, but because of the alignment. Because you are operating inside the architecture of divine flow. If you are older, stuck, stagnant, this system will break the dam. And if you want to accelerate the flow, here is the advanced hack. Find a specific area of tzedakah you are passionate about. Don't give randomly. Become a partner in a cause that lights your soul. The deeper your emotional connection to your giving, the wider the channel becomes. So here is my challenge to you, the 30-Day River Challenge. For the next 30 days, every dollar that comes into your life must immediately be divided according to the 10-10-80 rule. No exceptions, no delays. Money loves speed, money loves decisiveness, and the divine flow responds to action, not intention. Tonight, before you sleep, you will take 3 practical steps that will carve new channels in your financial landscape. Step 1. Open 3 separate bank accounts. Label them tzedakah, investment, and living. Do not wait for the perfect moment. Do not overthink it. The physical structure must exist before the spiritual flow can move through it. If you do not build the riverbeds, the water has nowhere to travel. Step 2. Choose your primary tzedakah destination. Do not scatter your giving. Pick a cause, a synagogue, a yeshiva, a charity, a program that stirs something inside you. Your upstream flow becomes magnified when your heart is involved. Mechanical giving opens the channel. Emotional giving widens it. Step 3. Take a single dollar bill from your wallet. Hold it in your hand, and with a pen, write on it. Be a kinneret, not a Dead Sea. Place this dollar somewhere you will see it every day. Let it be the whisper that follows you into every financial decision, the reminder that you are not meant to be a reservoir, you are meant to be a river. And now we return to the beginning. Back to the promise I made to my rabbi in that narrow alleyway under the Jerusalem moon. He told me that this secret must be protected from those who would twist it into selfishness, those who would use it as a tool to justify reckless spending or as a loophole to avoid responsibility. This secret is not a shortcut to wealth, it is a covenant, a spiritual alignment, a moral framework, a declaration of who you choose to be in the divine economy. I have kept this teaching guarded for decades, sharing it only with those whose hearts were fully prepared to receive it. But the world has changed. Fear is spreading faster than faith. People are starving spiritually even when they are fed materially. The time for secrecy has passed. The world needs rivers again. You now hold the knowledge that has elevated generations. But knowledge alone changes nothing. Knowledge is a seed. Action is water. And only when the two meet does life appear. You stand at a crossroads, and the path you choose will shape your financial destiny for years to come. One path leads back to the familiar, back to guarding the pile, back to checking your bank balance with a tight chest, back to believing that the next dollar must be held tightly or it will disappear. This is the path of the Dead Sea, full yet empty, rich yet poor, secure yet suffocating. The other path leads forward, into circulation, into flow, into trust, into a life where money does not control you but moves through you, where abundance does not sit in a vault but streams like living water, where you stop obsessing over losing and start focusing on contributing. This is the path of the kinneret, alive, vibrant, ever-renewing. The question is not whether the secret works. It has worked for centuries. The question is whether you will work it, because the truth is this: abundance is not something you pursue, it is something you align with. It is a rhythm, a breath, a current, and when you step into that current, the universe rearranges itself to support you. Doors open, ideas arrive, people appear, opportunities unfold, the flow increases, and you grow with it. But none of that happens while you are hoarding out of fear. Fear dams the river. Fear blocks the blessing. Fear signals to the divine that you do not trust the source from which everything flows. And the moment you stop trusting the source stops sending. You must decide, today, what story you are going to live in. Will you be the one who guarded the pile, or the one who changed your entire lineage by becoming a channel of blessing? Will you be the one who lived in fear, or the one who lived in flow? Will you be a Dead Sea or a kinneret? I will tell you a truth I learned only after years of walking this path. Circulation does not merely change your finances, it changes your identity. The moment you become a river, you become someone who trusts, someone who contributes, someone who recognizes that money is not merely currency. It is spiritual energy in physical form. It is meant to move. It is meant to serve. It is meant to uplift. And that uplift begins with you. Think for a moment about how many generations struggled before you. How many ancestors dreamed of a life of ease, freedom, and dignity? How many worked sunup to sundown without ever feeling abundance? How many prayed for opportunities you now hold casually in your hands? When you circulate, you honor them. When you hoard, you break the chain. You are standing at the threshold of becoming a turning point in your family story. A hinge generation. A shift in the spiritual DNA. But hear me, the river challenge is not easy. It sounds simple, but the real challenge is internal. The first time you divide your income according to the 10-10-80 rule, your old identity will fight back, fear will whisper. Scarcity will scream. Logic will argue. Your ego will insist you cannot afford to circulate. But circulation does not wait for confidence. Circulation creates confidence. You must move first. And then the blessing follows. I have seen this pattern not only in my life but in the lives of hundreds of students who have applied this secret. Once the river opens, once the upstream and forward flows become consistent, the outward flow becomes blessed. Suddenly, the same salary stretches further. The same business produces more. The same ideas generate opportunities. The same efforts multiply. The flow increases because the channel widens. And as King Solomon, the richest man who ever lived, wrote, "Cast your bread upon the waters, for you will find it after many days." He was not telling you to discard your wealth. He was telling you to circulate it, to send it into the flow, to trust that it will return, not as a trickle, but as a wave. So now, with this ancient secret in your hands, the final question lands softly before you. What will you do? Will you hear this as an interesting idea, and then return to guarding the pile that has given you nothing but fear? Or will you have the courage to live it, to step into the river, to dynamite the dam of your doubt and watch what happens when you finally allow abundance to move through you? May you choose flow over fear, trust over hoarding, circulation over stagnation. May you become a Kinneret, not a Dead Sea. May your life teem with opportunities, creativity, generosity, and divine blessing. And may every dollar that flows through your hands become a testimony to the truth that abundance is not something you keep, it is something you channel. Shalom, and may the river begin.